Of all the abusers I've had to deal with, who's the worst? All of these predators do the same thing. They use the mentally ill tag to try to convince people not to listen to me, to hate me and fear me, to harm me. There's a lot of people who say things like, well, I wonder how all that stuff in Germany with them Jews happened. How could a whole nation full of seemingly modern people commit such atrocities? Let's fast forward to 2024. A human life in America is not worth, well, anything. Alicia Bollinger never got the attention that her sister did. Alicia Bollinger disappeared repeatedly, several times to jail, several times on drug benders, including the times in jail. Altogether, she disappeared 4 times that people got hold of me, and I did every goddamn thing I could to help find her. My predators have been allowed to harm me my entire life. Same thing with many of you. The difference between you idiots and myself is that I saved the fucking evidence. I recorded it when at all possible. I should have recorded my last court date. However, I had a witness there with me. Someone to observe the proceedings. And it's a good thing, too. Because the lady who went with me got to see some evidence. Like the evidence that Natalie and I really were friends. Evidence that the police really did lie to the hospitals to try to have me diagnosed as schizophrenic. It's called a rubber stamp. Candy's gotten to see quite a bit. But compared to how much there is, not even close. This is an inhumane thing to do to another person. And then you tell them that it's their fault. That's nuts. Let me ask you a question. If you had a choice, between your 20-year-old son being falsely accused and beaten to death, or your daughter being called a cunt? Which one would you prefer? Now let's take a look at that situation for a reason. One of those is a dead person. The other is someone who feels fucking offended. So you got a choice there between using a harsh word or your son dying. Which one are you going to choose? Yeah, obviously the word cunt ain't so bad. Between your 36-year-old son being threatened in real life and on the internet, and assaulted in real life and on the internet, and these people are threatening not just his life, but the life of his family, would you rather have that, or your 36-year-old daughter gets called a cunt? Yeah, I'd say in some situations it's pretty goddamn reasonable to use the word cunt. You didn't hear me the first 30 times. People are hurting me. I let Natalie know that people were hurting me over a goddamn lie. What did she do? She pretended like I made it up. Now, if I'd had a friend help me to take screenshots and send those, we could have put a stop to this fucking nonsense. Was neither arrested nor charged with a goddamn thing in Virginia. Didn't do anything wrong or illegal. I had a medical fucking emergency and some dumb druggy fucking cunts put out of fucking proportion. Natalie and Alicia Bollinger were horrible fucking people. Now only one of them is a horrible people. Alicia Bollinger. See, here's the problem. Alicia Bollinger is the first predator in all of this. Her need to compete. Her jealousy of her sister having anything. How dare she? Is Alicia Bollinger ever going to take a look at the abuse that I endure? Are the courts? Is anyone going to listen? No. No, they're not. and he has been trying to make the time just to listen for almost half a year. Nathan, too. You know, there's a time limit on this. The longer it takes to turn it in, the more likely I am to have a mental fucking breakdown. Everything fucking hurts. Fucking goddamn it. There's no goddamn way to fucking keep my fucking door shut. That fucking ice. Even if I slam it, and that fucking hurts a lot. So you know what? It's not something I want to do. When people say they'll help, when? When? There's a lot of people who are on my channel that verify these situations happened. The threats, the harassment, the intimidation. Hell, you can follow the news and see a lot of the places that I've been. The Dalles, Oregon, pawned all of their homeless issues onto one place. That's right. The police pushed all the homeless people onto a church property. That's literally where they were telling us to go. I made more than one complaint about the abuse there, but I was only able to make verbal complaints, and I was talked over, dismissed, and disrespected in every situation. Not fucking okay. Why did I stop being nice and start using the word cunt? Well, believe it or not, I was still being nice at that point. Given the circumstances, that is nice. We've gotten to hear from a lot of men and women. We've gotten to hear from literally hundreds of people who tell me that I should kill them, that I should shoot my predators, that if it happened to them, they would kill those people. If it happened to their family, they would kill those people. No, they wouldn't. Not in most of these cases. What is the most common type of sexual abuse against a child? Incest, overwhelmingly. What is the most common type of child murder? Oh, come on, you gotta know this one. Overwhelmingly, the person most likely to kill a child is their parent. Their mother is the number one most likely, and number two is the child. Now let's take a look at Natalie Bollinger's situation. She had a lot more support because she's pretty, young, and female. Then, of course, she's got the attention of a lot of pedophiles, her dad included. Same thing with Alicia Bollinger. She's still alive. I suppose she'd be about 25 this year. Maybe 26. Yeah. Her sister died many years ago now over crimes that she committed against me. See, if the police would have listened to me in any of the jurisdictions that I had to take this abuse in, if they would have actually listened to me before Natalie was killed, instead of creating safety issues by talking over me and dismissing me and pawning me off on a fucking hospital. Hey, how about you fucking listen? Now, I did try to coordinate with the cops in Virginia to try to get my fucking stuff back. The cops outright lied to me. They did not give a fuck. When you, as a fucking cop, fucking lie to somebody about their life and their autonomy, that's what my fucking car is. When you say it's not gonna get towed, when you tell me that my friends will watch it, that it'll be there when I get back, that fucking pig in Virginia knew he was lying out his ass. Why was I not charged with any crimes in Virginia? Because I didn't fucking commit a goddamn crime in Virginia. I didn't even smoke pot while I was there. I knew that Natalie was having problems with sobriety. It's hard to stay sober when you're around people who are fucked up all the time. And she'd say, "Oh no, Sean, that's all right. That's all right. You know, I'm stuck on the hard stuff. So pot doesn't really bug me." Well, that's not the point. Marijuana is not the gateway drug. Abuse is. When you tell a man that he deserves to be abused because he spoke up about the abuse, you're a pretty fucked up person. What does it take for Nazis to take power? For situations like the America that we're living in today to happen? Well, it starts off with you not taking the time or making the time to listen to the victims, to take us seriously. Right now, we've created a society where we just call mentally ill people, right? We call them up, blame them for everything. And then, of course, the media eats it up. The courts love it. They absolutely love it. It makes them money. Homeless people don't mean shit to any of y'all. The situation with Walnez, you get to hear him fucking screaming on his channel about me killing somebody who, obviously, the killer is in prison. I am not in prison. Therefore, obviously, I am not the killer. I don't look like the killer. There are many, many pictures of the killer, and guess what? He does not look like me. He also doesn't have the same name as me. All these people who wanted to tell me just ignore it, just ignore it. People who promised to help me to stop the abuse, and their idea of helping me to stop the abuse was to abuse me themselves. Yeah, that doesn't fucking work. Or they abuse other people around them. I got to see Shannon Alvarado, super nice lady. Swore up and down she was going to help me. She did a lot of fucked up shit, though. She made a lot of empty promises. They cost me a lot of money. She literally never once lifted a goddamn finger to help turn in the bullshit with Kara Johnson Miles and the Bollinger family. No matter what, it was excuse after excuse after excuse. She's so proud of herself to this day for exposing Kara Johnson Miles. Well, great! Now help me turn it the fuck in. And she didn't. She let people hurt me for months. Oh, wait, I take that back. Years. That's right. How many years has it been? And she never once, ever made any fucking attempt at any point in time to help turn that shit in. To this day, it's excuse after excuse. Shannon Alvarado is a nasty fucking person. Well, guess what? I'm a nasty person too. I'm good to everybody. But you hurt me and my friends and family, you can expect that I'm gonna fucking speak up. When you fucked up shit to people, making the environment unsafe just because you're a fucking selfish goddamn alcoholic, that ain't nobody's fault but your own. I see all these people out here. You see druggies, I see trauma. And I also, yes, absolutely do see the druggies. I don't pretend that they don't exist. I don't pretend that they're a figment of your imagination. Maybe the police here in Tillamook should go tell the judge who killed Natalie Bollinger. Maybe they should tell Wolnez who killed Natalie Bollinger. Maybe they should explain to Wolnez that I've never been charged with any sort of sexual assault or sexual abuse. And I have literally never been charged with a single crime against a child. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that I've never committed a crime against a child. I'm not a sicko. Like the druggie generation, we have squatting out kids. I speak about the economy on my channel. It's because it is a very real issue. Logistically, well, most Americans are fucked. The more you work to silence my voice, the more I'm gonna fucking use it. How did Hitler take power? What did it really take for the German people to go along with that? Well, we get to see that here today, don't we? In the United States of America. Fritz Sauckel was the Nazi minister of forced labor, slave labor. They based it off of the American chain gang. Concentration camps, that's right. So what are we to do? When you don't stop, when you have somebody who's telling you that they're being harmed every day, and every day, if you talk to them, you always got to tell them about your stuff. They've just been assaulted and you're wanting to talk about you. Say maybe you'll make time, maybe next week, maybe the week after. If somebody doesn't give a time and a day, they're non-committal, then that sucks. The thing is that I can't possibly show every piece of abuse that I've had to endure. But what I can do, if someone is willing to sit down with me in person and take the time to listen, I can show the bullshit that was allowed in the court dates. Bullshit that I wasn't allowed access to. I wasn't allowed to go to my court dates, like I said. I wasn't allowed to look at any of their so-called evidence. It's inhumane. There are laws that protect pedophiles from the abuse that I endure. The problem there, because I've had more than one person tell me that is a solution. Hey, Sean, you know, since you're a registered pedophile, I'm like, I'm not a registered pedophile. I've never been charged with any sort of crime against a child. Number one. And number two, if you thought I was registered on the sex offender registry, it kind of creeps me the fuck out that you're talking to me. I do believe everybody deserves an honest day in court. But here's the thing. I've never been charged with any sort of sex crime. I've never been charged with any sort of crime against a child. Meanwhile, many of my predators have children and have a history of child abuse. People like Rose M. Kelly. People like Ted Bollinger. People like Amy Witcher. People like Amy Kalina Kingery. The two daughters of Amy's, they were staying with Rihanna. Rihanna kept hitting them over and over again. I let them know I was willing to break the law to get them safe. They just had to say so. And you goddamn right I would have. I'd have told those girls, hey, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wait until Rihanna's done watching the Bates Motel. She'll end up passing out at some point through it as long as we ignore her. As long as you're quiet. As soon as she's asleep, well, I'll get into my vehicle and we'll go down to the police station. I also told them if they wanted to call 911 at any point in time, I'd back them up. This is after the first 3 anonymous phone calls from somebody else. After the first 3 anonymous phone calls by me, which were around the same time, and no, they were not the same phone calls. What the cops came to see about and what I turned in were not the same thing. Rihanna's dead now, by the way. Maybe she had a seizure and hit her head. Maybe she was beaten to death. Who fucking knows? Out of all of my loved ones who have died, I was the closest to Natalie Bollinger. I was only 5 blocks away from where she was killed. When she was killed. That's right. When Natalie Bollinger was shot in the head, I was only 5 blocks away at 120th and Melody in Aurora, Colorado. That's not far from Thornton. The web sleuths that I've had to deal with. I get that y'all think I should just shut up and take the abuse, that that's the manly way to do it. Well, hell no. That ain't the way to do it. Now let's go for another analogy. You got a choice to make. You can either listen to a stranger who tells you he's being abused, or your daughter can get shot in the head. Which one would you choose? See, here's the thing. These people who wanted to assault me wanted to pretend that I was some pervert who couldn't take no for an answer. Anybody who reads the messages between Natalie and I can tell that we were friends. Anybody. Also, you get to see that the things that I was accused of being a predator for doing In most of those cases, those things did not happen. And they absolutely didn't happen the way that they pretended that they happened. Like Natalie pretended I stayed behind her works for weeks. No, that literally never happened. Of course, I wasn't allowed to go to court, so it didn't fucking matter, did it? Without a friend or family member or a lawyer present, the police officers didn't feel any need to follow protocol. They were out for blood. They just wanted to hurt somebody. And you know what? When you go believe in every pretty junky whore that you meet, and you make your decisions based on the words of junky whores who have learned how to use their looks to manipulate people out of drugs and money, well, hell, you're not a very intelligent person at all. You get to see how the druggies out here are treated, even the women. They're not as young and pretty as Natalie Bollinger, though, are they? Well, you wouldn't know because I don't go pointing the camera at them most of the time. There's no reason to. They're not getting physically violent nor hostile with me. As long as they don't have a history of hostility and violence, it all ends up all right. Robert Farnsworth doesn't come mess with me anymore. But a lot of my predators never stopped. You go calling me mentally ill to prevent me from getting hurt and prevent my evidence from being seen. And then you pretend that didn't happen and couldn't have happened because I'm intelligent, right? Here's how it goes when you're a male who's abused. Out on the streets. You got PTSD. Because you already know what the cops are about. But you got to try to trust them anyway, because that's what everybody tells you you have to do. Literally everybody that you have to try to turn the cops into when they commit crimes against you. And all the people that are supposed to help you and others are committing crimes against you. What does it all come down to? It all comes down to the police doing their fucking jobs. How do you make them do their jobs? You go in force. And you speak up and tell the truth. The larger the group, the more likely they are to be heard. Natalie Bollinger was not my best friend because she gave good head. She wasn't my best friend because we had incredible sex. She wasn't my best friend for any sexual reasons. She was my best friend because after I hurt my back and all of my other friends threw me away like trash, and I was being abused by Boulder Police Department, Natalie Bollinger is the only friend I had. I'd gone through months of abuse, and I couldn't get away with it. I couldn't get away with existing in Boulder, Colorado as a disabled person. I couldn't even get away with going to sleep at night because my back was fucked up, not because I'm some sort of fucking criminal. Meanwhile, out of all the criminals I know, I'm trying to think of even one that commits more crimes than a police officer does in the average day. And I can't think of even one. Because remember, we're talking about average days. And as we've come to realize, abuse and violence by police is far more widespread. The most likely people for the police to kill: number one, men, 96%. Number two, the disabled. Number two, the homeless, 61%. Then the disabled at 51%. Homeless people get desperate living out here, being treated substandard. We're not even allowed to do the things that they do in Mexico City. And we complain about how horrible Mexico City is. How the box city around Mexico City makes the whole place look bad. Well, them folks ain't got no place to go. Here in America, it's the same difference. There are 3 death sentences you can get in the United States. Somebody pretends you're a pedophile, a rapist, or you beat women. All 3 of those are a death sentence. Nobody wants to hear you after any of those, do they? And an accusation is good enough. An accusation of abuse against an at-risk adult needs to be taken seriously. That means working with the person's disabilities rather than exploiting them. I got to try to get some sleep and conserve my battery. It's not okay for me to have to go through my predators to try to turn in my predators to themselves. It's a conflict of interest and it's against the law. And if the public pretenders don't want to do their jobs, well, they're victimizing their clients. And that includes the American people. All right, well, I've had that alcohol fire going for a while. It's probably burned up most of the oxygen in here, but there's cracks all over the place. So I'm in under zero risk of asphyxiating. I'll definitely wake up in the morning sucks. Alright, anyway, obviously, if you pay attention to my channel enough, you can tell when I haven't gotten enough sleep. My words don't come together as well, and I have to keep myself from dozing off in the middle of a video. Eats up too much battery.